We hope, of course, that everybody's safe, and it's really a pleasure, it is an honor, to invite up Jennifer Bennison to give the appeal this evening. Good luck. Let me put the microphones off for you.
Thank you, Rabbi. I want to start by saying simply that this is quite a magnificent view from this perspective. I didn't appreciate it when I performed my bat mitzvah many decades ago, but this is a spectacular view to see all of you here tonight. Rabbi Emmert, Cantor member, President Cohn, thank you for the invitation to speak to the congregation tonight. As a Temple member since 2003, who had decided a few years ago to leave this congregation, speaking to you tonight is a particular honor for me. Let me share the details with all of you and explain why that didn't happen and how it is that today I'm a member of our Temple board and why being part of this congregation means so much to me. I grew up in Livingston, New Jersey in the 1960s and 70s. So not only did I think that the entire world was 35% Jewish, my parents were early and active members of Temple Beth Shalom. Our lives revolved around that large, vibrant synagogue. We 4 kids attended Livingston's public schools, but we went to Hebrew school 3 days every week, and our family's social life was built entirely on relationships formed at Beth Shalom. The rabbi and the cantor were close personal friends of my parents, and the temple was at the center of our lives. There was no country club, no second home, no fancy vacations. Some years there were no vacations. Life was home, school, and Beth Shalom. In fact, whenever I display my ignorance of the world, my husband Stephen still playfully explains that it is because I grew up in a shtetl. Fast forward to 2003. Stephen and I were planning to move from Millburn, New Jersey to Bergen County with our 2 daughters, Rachel and Hannah. When Heidi Katz, then Beth Rishon's president, walked me through this beautiful new building and shared with me what was happening here, I knew that we would move to Wyckoff and join Beth Rishon. Hannah was for 2 years later, we bought a house and joined the synagogue. Hannah's upcoming bat mitzvah provided a foundation for my engagement at Beth Rishon. I had contact with Rabbi Emmert and Cantor Mamber and made a very serious effort to make new friends. After all, when we moved into our house in Wyckoff, we didn't know anyone other than Heidi and our real estate broker. And I'm not sure that after he had shown us 50 houses that he was still talking to us at that point. After Hannah's bat mitzvah, the years passed very quickly. We attended services from time to time. I worked in the temple gift shop and made centerpieces for one of our fundraisers. I attended a few lectures. And then I woke up to realize that I had become a member who entered this building only during the high holidays. What is wrong with this place, I asked myself. Why isn't anyone calling me? Why aren't I being asked to participate on a committee or to do something? Well, of course I had been asked. We are all asked, collectively, from this bima, and in all the newsletters and other communications that we receive. But I guess I wanted a personal invitation. I wanted someone to ask me directly and specifically to help with something. And when that didn't happen, I started to feel alienated from the world that existed here. I drove past this building several times every day, admired its beauty, and felt like an outsider. So I decided that my family needed to start again. We would find another synagogue where we would be made to feel welcome, where we could get involved. Well, let me tell you that there is nothing like informing a new synagogue that you are a prospective member. The phone calls, the Shabbos dinner invitations, the outpouring of love and attention. We got it all. And then I realized that it was not about the new place or the new people. It had to be about a change in me. I was a political science major, so I have to explain that John F. Kennedy's words from his 1961 inaugural address actually ran through my mind. We all know what he so famously said. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. The same is true for life in a synagogue. The synagogue is here for us in so many ways. And one of those ways is that it affords each of us the opportunity to give of ourselves. And in doing that, we are given the chance to fulfill many of our own needs. For a place for worship, for friendship, for a feeling of community, for comfort when we need it. But the temple also gives us the opportunity to make it stronger and better by giving of ourselves. So I decided that we would stay at Beth Rishon and that I would accept responsibility for making this a meaningful place for me, and if I could, in some way strengthen the synagogue as well. I called Laura Friedman and told her that I wanted to get involved in a considerable way. Well, I was very lucky because just as I needed Beth Rishon at that moment, Beth Rishon needed me. Within days, I had agreed to invest a significant amount of my time as part of an important new committee. A second, even more important matter came along soon after. And a year and a half later, I accepted a seat on our Board of Trustees. When I drive past Beth Rishon now, I don't feel like an outsider. Now, finally, I am a part of this place, and it feels good. It has filled a void that existed in my life. The synagogue has come to mean a lot to me again, as it did when I was a child in Livingston. I love walking into this building, whether it is for a meeting, services, or a lecture. I love ushering and greeting you when you arrive for services. I love the way it feels to be part of what is happening here. And, at least for a little while, to get away from the parts of our daily lives that have become so troubling. Entering this building is, for me, an escape from life in a country and a world that seems at times to have gone mad. So, while for some the synagogue has been a constant in their lives, there may be others, and frankly, I think there are many others who feel like I did, like an outsider in this synagogue. And I'm here to tell you that it does not have to be that way. That with one phone call, you can make the life of this synagogue a very important part of your life, a place that can fulfill so many of the needs that we all have, to be part of something, to be needed, to do good. But that can only happen if the synagogue is strong enough to survive as a rich and vibrant institution, with schools and prayer and everything else that happens here. And that is where all of us come in. Because in addition to everything else that it is, the temple is also a business. It has a balance sheet and a lot of expenses. And it can only survive if it is financially secure. If we all extend ourselves financially with a Kol Nidre donation that ensures the synagogue's stability and survival. And it must survive. It must remain. At Rosh Hashanah, both Rabbi Emmert and Allison spoke about the importance of resilience and our need to dream. As a people, the Jews have proven their resilience over thousands of years. As for dreams, let me share mine. I have a dream that one day the world will come to its senses. It will come to its senses and recognize the Jewish people for what we are, for what we have contributed to mankind, and for what we continue to contribute. The Jewish people will be recognized for what a long line of historians and scholars have documented, that the Jews introduced the rest of the world to the idea of equality before the law, the notion of the sanctity of human life and the dignity of the human person, the concept of the individual conscience and hence the possibility for personal redemption, of the notion of collective conscience and hence social responsibility, of compassion as the foundation of justice. And in terms of rationalizing the unknown, well, without the belief in one God, we would all still be worshiping idols. Though I will leave it to the rabbi to talk further on that topic, clearly, without the Jews, the world would be a different place. In science, medicine, business, law, in art, music, literature, and all things cultural, the contributions of the Jews are undeniable. And finally, in the modern era, we need only look at the contributions of the State of Israel. Since Israel was founded in 1948, the country has set itself the goal of becoming a light unto the nations. Since the early years of the state, despite severe austerity rationing, the Israeli government has shared the country's creative solutions with the rest of the world. Every year, Israelis offer relief to many of the pressing problems around the globe, from environmental breakthroughs to technologies that can increase food production and save vital crops, to humanitarian aid missions in the wake of catastrophic natural disasters. Israelis are in the forefront. Victims around the world have looked out from rubble to see first the faces of Israeli rescue workers. In recent years, the Israeli rescue team has been in Sri Lanka, Peru, Haiti, Somalia, Myanmar, the Philippines, and South Sudan. Just this summer, they were in Louisiana after the flooding and in Italy after the earthquakes there. And Israel is the only country in the world that permanently opened its arms to sick children as a result of the radiation caused by the Ukrainian nuclear disaster at Chernobyl. Nearly 3,000 children were brought to Israel for treatment and permanent resettlement. So, For these reasons, I say there is a reason to hope that the world will one day come to its senses. And when that day comes, and when we are finally freed from the ignorance and hatred that has been so much a part of our history, Temple Beth Rishon must be here, stronger than ever, for the next generation and the generations after.